I'm a girl. So there are a lot of additional pressure on girls from the relatives, from the society and everywhere. Yes, it was something that I was not sharing. But today I realized, okay, I should share this. In CSAT, I have made the approach that I should not waste time on something that I don't know. So then that dream of my father came again in my mind, and I thought, okay, let's give a look to it. And then I realized that, okay, this is what I really want to do.
Okay, so how's the atmosphere at home here? Like after the result in this scenario, like obviously, like what I have seen over the videos that everybody is really happy, which is obvious.
So, sir, as I have always, as I have said that I started my preparation from 2019, and I think from that year, that day, everyone was waiting for this moment. So when that moment finally came, it was really surreal and overwhelming. For a few time, like few minutes or few hours, like it was not sinking in that okay, finally I have made it, and with such a good rank, which I have never expected. I always expected my name in the list, but not at such a good rank. So it was very unexpected, and as everyone say, unexpected things are more beautiful. So now I realize that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be really honest with you. So we just want to keep it like more engaging to help more like to understand more about you as a person. Like how did you evolve as a person? So yeah, what I have noticed over the interviews that you have mentioned that your father wanted you to become an IAS, right? So
Yes, sir.
what kind of a kid were you? Like were you always intelligent? Like how did that come up? Like your father envisioning you to become an IAS officer?
So, sir, this goes, I think, way back. My grandfather was in collectorate office.
Okay.
So I think my father was always influenced with those government offices and that authority and power, everything. So when I was born and everything in my school also, I was a good child, I will say. I was always a rank holder in school also. So that provided him also that motivation that, okay, if she is good in studies, she will able to make it. So when I was in school and in 9th, 10th class only, he used to say you should become an IAS officer. And that time it was, in our time, there was not so much exposure of social media, of YouTube, everything. So I never paid any attention to him in this. I was like, okay, I will see to it after my graduation. But when I started my graduation in second year, I realized that, okay, engineering is not something that I really wanted to make a career in, or I want to spend the next 30 to 35 years in this job. So then that dream of my father came again in my mind, and I thought, okay, let's give a look to it. And then I realized that, okay, this is what I really want to do. I really want to work for the society, for the people, and this is the best way I can do that. So then I started, okay, I will do, and this is my goal that I want to achieve in life.
Interesting, yeah. So I guess you had mentioned multiple times like that one should focus on the why part of it. Like you should emphasize on why you want to become an IAS. So when did that hit you? Like what was that moment? Was it like a journey in general, or was there any particular moment?
So I would say that you have mentioned it was a journey only. It was not. I cannot say a particular moment. As I said, it was a dream of my father. So there was. This is always my back in my mind. It was always there. But when I always in school or in college also, I was always influenced, and I always had the compassion for people, for poor people. When I used to see elderly people work in the afternoon or in sun and getting drenched with sweat, I felt very bad for them, and I felt, okay, what I can do for them. So that compassion and empathy was always there with me. So when I came across civil services, I realized that, okay, this is something that will influence the society. I can get to help a lot of people at the grassroots level, especially for the poor people, for the vulnerable people. I think that was a journey, and that the journey from my father's dream to my dream and my goal. So that was a journey that I looked for civil services examination.
Interesting, quite interesting. So this is new for me. Like I haven't heard like this story or like this part of yours in any interview.
Yes, sir, it was something that I was not sharing. But today I realized, okay, I should share this because I always said that I started this journey with my father's dream or father's goal, but eventually it became mine. And I wanted to, just not for my father only, but for me, for my self-satisfaction and for the society at large.
Okay, interesting. So Swati, you have mentioned a lot about, like I would say, tackling with the pressure. Like if I talk about the journey of UPSC in general, So I guess lakhs of aspirant students at every point of time are handling a lot of unsaid pressure in the society. Like when you're preparing for the exam, it's like multiple years of preparation. So how did you tackle with that pressure? Like how did you, I would say, manage, or what was the plan in your head that kept you motivated during the journey?
So as you have said that UPSC is already obviously a journey in itself. There will be ups and there will be downs, and there are a lot of times when you will feel like demotivated or self doubt will be there. But one of the most important thing that kept me going was my family support. They were there for me in all my highs and lows. They were there to assure me that okay, we are there for you, and eventually they will face because as I'm a girl, so there are a lot of additional pressure on girls from the relatives, from the society, and everywhere. But those pressure never reached to me because my parents and my family was there to guard me. They were very simple with their thoughts. They said, "You study, that is your work. Everything else we will handle." So my family support was always there to tackle those challenges. And apart from that, I never burdened myself with study. I used to take out my me time. I used to keep myself entertained. So that also helped me to deal with those pressure. So I can sit down alone and I will think that okay, this was the things and how I should manage that. So those me time self introspection helped me a lot.
Okay, so basically now I can like imagine it, right? Why it's more of like a success for you and your family entirely, right? So Swati, now I would say the $1,000,000 question that every aspirant or like someone who's like just starting to prepare, or even I would say I would have that question for you. Like, if you have to assess me, let's say if I have to start with UPSC preparation today, so how would you guide me? Like, how should I start? What sources should I refer? What should be my go-to things? What should I be like taking care of?
So, sir, as I said earlier, also the first thing when you start the preparation, you should search or be clear with the reason why you want to do civil service. It can be anything. It's not always that you want to work for the society. It's not always. There are other reasons also. So it's okay. It doesn't matter, but you have to have the clarity of that firstly. So after you have that clarity, you should first go to analyze the syllabus, because you should know that what you are entering into, because it's a very exhausting journey. So you should be prepared for it. So analyze the syllabus firstly, and with the day you you decide to approach civil services, you should start newspaper reading. In initial days, it will take a lot of time. I myself took 1.5 hours in my initial days, which eventually came down to 45 minutes in reading a newspaper. So start reading the newspaper. Start with the NCERT books first, especially for the technical background students, because we have lost touch with the humanities subjects that are there, polity, economics, everything in after class 10th, 11th only. So start reading with the NCERT books. They will make the foundation and also provide a clear overview of what the syllabus is. Also, the language is easy, so it's easier for you to understand also. And then go for the standard books. And for standard books also, don't read a lot of books. Limit your resources as much as you can. Read a single book and read it multiple times, because if you read a book and you are not able to revise in the future, that's of no use. To focus on revision and start practicing also, because when I started preparation, I used to practice 5 to 10 questions of prelims every day, whether it is from any online website or from the previous year questions. I used to do that so that it comes in my habit and I should know what the UPSC demands and what should be the direction of my preparation. So these are some things that you should start with.
Okay, so should I like pick up the syllabus first or NCERTs?
I think first you should pick up the syllabus, because in the NCERT also there are a lot of things that are not relevant for us as a UPSC aspirant. So firstly analyze the syllabus, because it brings a filter in your mind that okay, these things we have to read and these we should avoid. So that clarity comes from the syllabus, each and every pointer. I prefer and I also advise students to keep a printout of it. Don't just read on your mobile or laptop. Keep a printout of your syllabus on the study table, so that if you strike something, okay, is it relevant or I should read it, you should take the syllabus and think that okay, is it associated with my syllabus, and then you can plan accordingly.
Okay, so I guess Swati, I have seen like different people having different approach for PYQs. Like some recommend that you should like pick up PYQs at the start. Like the way you are saying it, you are like mentioning to refer it on a daily basis. So what was your exact approach to refer to the previous year questions?
So for previous year questions, I used to refer them for the mains preparation also and for the prelims also. For example, if I have, there are some books, compilation of books come that have segregated the previous year prelims question also topic wise. For polity questions are in one section, geography questions are in one section. So I bought that book. And for example, if I am reading, studying polity for that matter, so I used to pick up polity questions from the previous year paper. And then I used to solve and okay, I have reading this and now UPSC is asking next. So if I am studying in the right direction, and for mains also, as I have mentioned that for answer writing, me and my friend who was preparing for civil services, we used to pick two questions from the previous year paper and then write answer and then cross check our answers. So that two things has been done from that we got an understanding of the previous year questions and UPSC demand, and also it became practice and it enhanced our content as well as speed. So and at that point previous year questions helped me a lot.
Okay, so I just want to understand one thing here. So when you started with the mains writing part of it, did you study answers of other toppers or maybe previous year question answers as well, or you started writing on your own from the start?
No, sir. I have referred to the topper's copy because I have no idea about civil services, how answer writing is done and about everything. There's no one in my family also who can guide me about that. So I thought that I should see how you should structure your answer, what you should mention, what add-ons you can do. So I have referred to topper's copy in starting.
Okay. Interesting. And you mentioned about the reference standard books that one should refer for. Could you help us understand which books did you refer during your preparation for subject-wise?
Okay, sir. So I will start with history. So history is divided into three parts as we know: ancient, medieval, and modern. And for ancient and medieval, I totally relied on NCERT books. 11th and 12th NCERT, R.S. Sharma sir's book is there. So 11th and 12th I refer to them. And for modern, I refer to NCERT as well as I refer to Spectrum also, because I thought that only NCERT will not be sufficient for modern because there are a lot of questions that are asked in prelims as well as in mains. So Spectrum and NCERT for modern history. And then for art and culture, I refer to Nitin Singhania sir's book is there. And then for geography also I relied on NCERT. Two NCERTs are there: fundamentals of physical geography and India physical environment. So these two NCERT. Apart from that, GC Leong book from chapter 15 to 25 only, not whole book, only 15-25. And Atlas is very important for geography, so I have kept it. Apart from it, for Indian society part, I have referred to Google, not a particular book. There are a lot of books for Indian society, but I thought they are very much lengthy and they're also very irrelevant and static content. And these topics, for example, globalization, poverty, these are very dynamic topics. So I prepared them through Google. I used to search them in Google and there are a lot of notes and I used to read those and compile them and prepare online notes for those topics for Indian society. Then for polity part, I relied on Laxmikant and current affairs because that more or less covers that part. And for governance and social justice part, there is a class 2 material of a particular institute that is available in the market. I refer to that material. And apart from that, for international relations, I relied on current affairs because international relation is a very dynamic topic and questions also comes from what is going on at temporary times. So I wholly relied on current affairs. I used to refer a monthly magazine. So I used to cover my internal security from those magazines only. And if we come on economics part, so I covered economics from Sriram IS book is there. And apart from that, budget and survey that are very, very important for economics. So budget and survey for economics. And that for environment also, I refer to Shankar IS sir book and Google. Most of it I have Googled. And for economics also, for topics like cropping pattern, irrigation system, food processing industry, Google helped me a lot. So in that thing I have Googled also. And then if we move for internal security, there's a book of Macro Hill's publication, Challenges of Internal Security in India. I have referred to that. And then next we come into ethics. So ethics is a very dynamic and I do, apart from GS, because GS is a little bit static, but ethics is something that you can express your viewpoint. For keywords only, I have referred to lexicon. but not wholly, for keywords and for some definition. And apart from it, for add-on, I have prepared examples of some contemporary civil servants that are doing great work in their field, some very innovative projects that they are bringing, so that I can quote their example in my ethics paper. So this was my overall resource list.
Interesting. And that was like, I guess this is like on the tip of your head, like all the subjects you have covered in one go without missing anyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, interesting. So Swati, one doubt that I have over here, which is like a very common problem that I see with the aspirants, that they refer to a lot of books during their preparation. Like let's say for every subject, there are like 3 to 4 famous books in the market. So what I have seen, like aspirants studying through multiple books over the period of like time. So do you recommend that, or like if you could help me understand about that a bit?
No, sir, I have said in the starting only that you should always limit your resources, because apart from reading, revision is more important. And I've always believed that if something that I will not be able to revise in the future and I'm studying right now, that is waste of my time and my energy. So you should not read 10 books one time, but you should read one book 10 times. So that will enhance your knowledge. It will keep you whatever you have reading, your content will be retained for a longer period of time, and that input will give you a better output at the exam. So don't go for multiple books after the online education or online resources. There are plethora of material in the market. But as I said, when you analyze the syllabus and everything, you yourself get a filter, and you should stop those tendency to read all the books in the market. Don't go for those distractions. They will waste your time. That time you can utilize better in reading that one book and prepare it more holistically. So limited resource is very much evident in this exam.
Interesting. So that brings me to the next question. So Swati, you have referred about regular practicing a lot, like that one should practice regularly. So for prelims, if I talk about in general, like that is basically MCQs. So did you used to analyze the, like I would say, areas where you were making mistakes, or like what was your approach? Like, so you have explained really well for the mains part about the answer writing, but what was your approach for prelims in general?
So for prelims, when I used to practice questions, and when I switched to full length series also, apart from practicing, I also used to analyze my mistakes, how much question I have got wrong, and there are model solutions also for those questions. And I used to refer and analyze those solutions also, so that I can understand that what approach I used to solve a question that I got it wrong, and then what is the real approach, what is the dimension that I was not able to think. So that analyzation part was also very important. So firstly, I used to solve the question. For 2 hours, I used to keep a timer, and I'm very strict and disciplined with my timer. That 2 hours mean 2 hours. When I used to solve the question, and then I used to match it how much I have got wrong and right, and then I have always dedicated equal amount of time to analyze my answers, so that if you are not able to realize your mistakes, then your practice is of no worth. You have, because we practice to realize our mistake, to overcome our mistakes, so that those mistakes we don't make when we are in the real examination hall. So unless and until you don't analyze your paper, the model answers, your practice is of no use.
So did you use any online sources for that? Because I guess online is really good to help you with the analysis part.
Yes, sir. Because I was preparing from my home. For 10-11 months only I was in Delhi, and then for 3 years I have prepared from my home only. So there were a lot of online sources that I've used. For prelim series, I have purchased a prelims test series of one institute, and I used to take those tests online only. Apart from that, there are also very coaching institutes that offer free mock tests for prelims. I used to refer them also. I have believed that I have to practice as much mock as possible, and financially and economically it is not possible to purchase all those mocks. So I used to see what websites are offering those free mocks and everything. I used to practice them. Practice makes a person perfect, and I have always believed in that, and I have always done that.
Okay, so yeah, that brings me to like a very interesting question that I have heard a lot of aspirants ask, that how many mocks does a topper give? Like, and by that I want like a clear, I would say a clarification, like a complete number of mocks and subject-wise mocks. And I have heard this question multiple times, I can tell you.
Okay, sir. So I don't remember subject-wise mocks, and I can't say it for other toppers because some practice only few mocks and they make it to the list. But for me, mocks were very important, and I have practiced 90 plus mocks, 92, 93 if I am precise enough, for my prelims. So that was the amount of mock I have done.
How much time did you spend in that? Like how many months?
So I think 5 months before, I think 5 months from prelims, I was totally prelims oriented. So I used to practice a mock daily. I used to practice daily. I used to analyze my solutions and my mistakes daily. So I think 4 or 5 months I have taken.
So Swati, I guess I read somewhere that polity was your favorite subject. Okay.
Yes,
So help us understand about Laxmikant. What was your approach studying the particular, I would say, the Bible?
Yes, a lot of people say that is Laxmikant is a Bible, but I said that Laxmikant's language is very easy. First thing, and I'm engineer, so polity interested me because that language is easy and I was able to understand that. So that was one thing, and it is very Laxmikant also the syllabus that UPSC has mentioned, especially the mains part, that historical background and everything, that is very pointer format that is given in the Laxmikant. It also provides those previous year questions in the back of the book, every article, the summary of the chapter. So that book was quite helpful for me, as well it was quite easy for me to revise at the time because they have provided a summary of everything, of parts, of articles after the end of every chapter. So that's why I referred Laxmikant.
So did you used to, I would say, practice questions as well while studying Laxmikant? Like the PYQs and all that you referred?
Yes, sir, I used to practice them, as I have said, after I completed any subject, not for polity. I have said that I have brought that book that has segregated the previous year questions subject-wise. So I practice those questions only, and also daily there are a lot of websites, online websites, that I have referred a lot of online websites. Those provide the questions daily, 5-10 questions of static topics or on current affairs. So I used to practice those questions also.
Okay. So Swati, do you recommend studying, like I would say, doing daily current affairs, MCQs and all that? Would that be helpful for an aspirant?
Yes, so I think if we read something, it's really important to see the application part of it. So practicing comes there and important because if I read the newspaper in the morning and at night, if I am applying some current affairs, PYQs or mains question, and then answer them, I am able to analyze that, okay, this much I have retained in a day. So that's why practicing daily is very important.
Interesting. So now coming to the mains answer writing part of it. So I guess you have mentioned your approach towards mains answer writing in multiple interviews. So could you help us understand like a bit more on that, and how did you ensure that your answer sheet is, like I would say, identified separately, like you get into the toppers?
So as I have mentioned everything, that how I have used to practice, I have started writing I think 1 month in my preparation, and I've started writing answer. I used to write very bad answer. I used to take like 15-20 minutes on writing one answer. So that practice started, and when I used to write mocks, I want to say through this platform that I never got 100 plus marks in my mock test. I used to be very depressed that okay, what I will do in my exam, I'm not getting some good marks. But I think what I always believed and I have done, that I should stick to my facts firstly, and what I have learned, because I've given 2 time mains. So I have realized a lot of mistakes in my first mains. So I thought, okay, these are my feedbacks. I should improve, but I should not be bothered more about the marks. I should be bothered about the practice and my content. So in my answers also, as what I think has made some difference was I have always created a visibility in my answer, be it through diagrams or through math work. So I have always done that so that my answer looks a bit different from everyone in that sense. For example, if I can give, there was a question on Gupta and Chola architecture. in the GS paper 1, and I have drawn in Chola architecture. I have drawn that Dravidian temple architecture. I can write it also, but when I have drawn it, because not everyone thinks that, and it made my copy a little different from everybody else. So one thing was that. Second thing, what I have done, I have wrote my answers in point or flowchart formats rather than paragraphs. I thought that paragraphs became little boring for the examiner also to read and then mark. And apart from it, flowcharts or point format becomes readily available for the examiner also to read your copy and to provide you marks. So that is something that I have done for my answer writing copies. Apart from that, what I have done that I used to write some really good quotes or sentences that come in the editorial part of the newspaper. That has enhanced, because in the introduction part, if I write something very intellectual, that creates a very good image that okay, this person is knowledgeable, he knows or she or knows the topic. So that is something that I suppose that have made my copy different from everybody else.
Have you always been that creative as a person, or was it something that you, I would say, learned during the preparation?
So I think, as you said, you are an engineer, and I'm an engineer. So engineering taught me this thing. Answer writing skills I got from engineering, and from UPSC also I've learned a lot. I am not good in this creating ideas from the start, but eventually by practicing and by knowing things, as I've said, topper's copy, I have made this in my habit.
So basically, you know how to attempt the exam to get good scores, right? Like that.
Yes,
that is what engineering taught us.
Yes, it helps you to tackle not just exam, every life problem. I think engineering teaches you everything.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah. So, like now, I want to understand the engineering approach here over here. So, CSAT is becoming tougher every year. Like all of us are aware, the candidates are like really, I would say, scared about CSAT now. That there are tons of stories where people have cleared GS, but they were stuck at CSAT. So, what was your strategy for CSAT that managed, like that you cracked it?
So, sir, for thing, I think most of the people can relate to me. People always say that maths is not their subject, but maths was my favorite subject from school only. So I always used to love maths, and I also used to get very good marks in maths only. So that was one thing that made me more interested in CSAT part. And apart from that, practice only, because quant and reasoning part is something that you can't clear till you do the practice. Because for GS that is static, that you can more or less know. But for quantitative part or for reasoning part, you have to practice. And apart from that, in CSAT, I have made the approach that I should not waste time on something that I don't know. So there are a lot of students who just apply all their mind in solving quant question, and paper is also very lengthy and you get only 2 hours. Until the time you go for reasoning and comprehension question, the time is up. So I prefer to firstly do the comprehension and reasoning part first, and then switch to quant part. So I think that really helped me in my CSAT exam.
Did you practice it for the preparation, like let's say along with the prelims in the 5 months of like the mock test series preparation? Did you also practice for CSAT and like specifically?
No, sir, for CSAT, I haven't practiced for 5 months. I advise students for practice at least 1 month before prelims. But as I said, I really liked maths, and I believe I'm good at maths also. So I used to practice 2 weeks before my prelims. I used to apply mock test daily for CSAT also. But for students who are especially for humanities background or who face some issues with CSAT paper, they should start practicing at least 1 month before the prelims.
Interesting. So Swati, this is like a question which I would say studying about you. So one question that I had was like, what was the difference in the approach of second and third attempt? Because you are the best person who would have analyzed it by now. So if you could help us understand that.
Yes, so the prelims were more or less sorted with the practice. Also, I was not much worried about the prelims. So for me, what I have done, as I have mentioned, my strategy for creating visibility and presentation, that was lacking in my first attempt. When I attempted first time my mains, I have write what I can remember. I have wrote more static part, and I have not made it dynamic or that innovative. I have wrote, I think, the bookish part more, and I was not able to convey what I think of some issues. What will I do? What would be my point of view? So that was one thing that was lacking in my first attempt. But in second attempt, realized that, and I used to give way forward according to my understanding. I don't refer to what written in the books or anywhere else. I used to provide them solution on what I will do if I become a civil servant. What are my ideas about doing things? I think that really created a difference in my mains examination. And for personality test also, I will say that I was knowing things in my first personality test, but I was not able to convey more nicely to the board, and that created a lot of difference in my marks. In second attempt also, I worked on my communication skills. At least I should convey what I am thinking and what I have my point of view to the board. I think these 2-3 things made a difference in my two attempts.
Okay. So what are your plans to, I would say, if considering the ideal scenario, what is the new India that you think of?
So as I have said, sir, India right now has the largest number of youth population. So I think unless and until we educate that youth, we cannot create an asset. Because an asset to youth can be an asset or demographic dividend, which we talk about. It can only come with education as well as skill development. For my goal is this only, that for grassroots level, for the person in the last of the line, I should provide them with the basic education so that they can learn, they can read, they can write, and if not, they can be self-employed, they can create something of their own. That startups, for example, are coming. So those startups are at big level. I want at the local level, because there are a lot of talent in our villages also. So when they will get that education about how they can utilize their knowledge on creating an employment for themselves, that will come through education. So firstly, I want to make awareness to them for education part, and then for the skill development part. So there was a broad linkage between all this. So I want to work that at the ground level, the local artisans that are there, the local craft that we have. I want to promote that at the national as well as the international level.
That's really insightful of you.
Yes.
So I want you to throw some light on what are the biggest myths in UPSC preparation, like which a student should be like avoiding and should be careful about, because there's a lot of, I would say, gyan around.
So first myth that comes that if you're not from a big college, that I have faced, because when I went to Delhi, people ask me where are you from, and I used to say Jabalpur, and they asked me from where you have done your schooling, college, and I have done college and schooling from here in local colleges only, not those big IITs or some DU college, and they don't even know the name of Jabalpur. They used to ask me where is Jabalpur, so that really demotivated me to, okay, they don't know anything about my city, what I'm gonna do. So that is a myth, I tell you, that people think that if they are from small cities or from local college, they are not gonna make it. No, that is not true. UPSC is not concerned with your college, with your schooling, from where you have done, what percentage you have brought, that also doesn't matter. If you are able to do hard work and give all you have in these 2 or 3 years of UPSC preparation, you will get the results. So first myth is this only, that if you're not from big college, not from big city, you are not able to make it. That is totally wrong, and I myself, it's an example, and there are a lot of examples also for that. And second thing is, if you are not able to make it to Delhi, you're not able to do that. That is also not true, because Delhi, if you can go, it's well and good, but if you are not able to go, that's also well and good. It doesn't matter, because it is not easy to live in Delhi also, because there are a lot of pressure. If you visit ORN, Old Rajendra Nagar, anywhere you see, there are one coaching poster, a lot of book lists, there are a student with a bag of some institute. That is also very demotivating and depressing. So if you're not able to go to Delhi, it is also a very good thing for some people. For me also, when I was home, I was away from that pressure. So that helped me to study better, because I am not someone who can study under pressure. I want a very happy and calm environment. So that is also a myth, that you have to go to Delhi, you have to do coaching. That is not necessary. You can clear this exam by self-study, because my journey, only my real journey, what I can say, the 1 year which I was in Delhi was it was given like about knowing UPSC, collecting the books and studying everything. And my real journey started when I came home from 2020 only, studying UPSC proper journey, what people say. So it's also a myth. And third thing is you have to study, I think 18 or 19 hours without break. You have to cut off from social media. I consider that also a myth because for me, I used to study 10 or 12 hours. It depends on capacity. So I think students used to it tends to copy toppers, or if someone has said that you have to study 18 hours, no, maybe their capacity is for 18 hours. Mine was not of 18 hours. I used to study 10 to 12 hours or whatever I can retain for a longer period of time. And I was on social media. I was connected with my friends. I used to take part in my family functions because that provided me a boost and keep me entertained and refreshed to start my study or more nicely, and kept me happy. And I think when we are happy, we are comfortable, we are more likely to study better. So these are, I think, some myths that I have faced and I overcame them.
Interesting. Yeah. So I believe that's like your story in general is like a lot of is a big inspiration for a lot of girls in, I would say, small cities. I could relate with that feeling very strongly, that if you're coming from a small city, the first challenge that you have is to make people aware of the city you are coming from. So that is definitely a challenge for all the people, I believe. But at the same time, the stories like you help us become more strong and emerge strongly. And definitely, this is more of an inspiration for a lot of young girls out there who are dreaming to become big from coming from small cities. So that's really inspiring, Swati, in general. And thanks a lot for taking out time for this. And we are really grateful that you could be like so humble during the entire conversation that we had. So, and really looking forward to you to become a great officer. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, and all the best for the journey ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.